Welcome back. In our last explainer, we did something pretty cool. We built a server with just a few clicks. But what's really going on behind that click? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and talk about automation and why it is the absolute heart of DevOps.
So let's just start with a question to get us thinking. You can build a server with a click, sure, but is that how the pros do it in a real-world professional setting? The short answer? Not even close. Let's dive into why.
First up, let's just do a quick recap of that manual process we walked through before. It's super important to understand this part because it shows us exactly what we're trying to improve on. You know the drill, right? You log into a web portal, like the AWS console, you fill out a form, you pick your operating system and how big you want the machine to be, you create a special key so you can log in securely, and then you hit that big, friendly launch button. And then, kind of like magic, the cloud provider does all the heavy lifting in the background. It finds the physical hardware, builds your virtual machine, configures it just right, starts it up, and then hands you back an IP address so you can connect to it. Now, this process is totally fine for one server, maybe even two. But what happens when you need 100 servers, all with the exact same setup? Imagine you're a big e-commerce site on Black Friday. You can't have someone sitting there manually clicking to add more servers one by one. It's just too slow. And this is where that DevOps mindset really kicks in. See, as a DevOps engineer, your whole job is about making things more efficient and more reliable. And let's be honest, clicking a button 100 times is, well, it's the total opposite of that. It's slow, it's repetitive, and it's practically begging for someone to make a mistake. And this quote just says it all perfectly. When you do things by hand, you're bound to make little mistakes. A typo here, a wrong setting there. But when you automate the process, you're not just going faster. You're building a system that's consistent. You eliminate those human errors and get a perfect result every single time. So the big question is, how do we actually do it? Well, to automate, we need to bypass the website and talk to the cloud provider directly in a language that computers understand. And that, my friends, is where APIs come into the picture. The answer is the API. It stands for Application Programming Interface. But don't worry about the jargon. Just think of it like this. Using the web console is like walking up to a cashier at a restaurant to place your order. The API, on the other hand, is like sending a perfectly detailed, coded ticket straight to the kitchen. It's a direct, efficient, machine-to-machine conversation. Now, before your request gets anywhere, the API acts like a security guard. It runs 3 critical checks. First, it asks, is this request even valid? Is it formatted correctly? Second, are you authenticated? Do you have the right credentials to prove you are who you say you are? And third, this one's a biggie. Are you authorized to do this? Do you actually have permission to perform this action? This is what stops you from accidentally deleting your company's entire database. Okay, so we know we can talk to the cloud's API, but what language do we use to write that coded ticket? Let's explore the really cool world of infrastructure as code. This brings us to a really powerful concept, infrastructure as code, or IAC for short. Think of it like a blueprint for your entire setup, your servers, your networks, the whole shebang, all written down in simple text files. Instead of building a house by hand every single time, you just hand over the same perfect blueprint. It is a total game changer. Now, you're going to hear about a ton of different tools for IAC. Names like the AWS CLI, Boto3, CloudFormation, CDK, Terraform. Don't get bogged down trying to memorize them all right now. The main thing to know is that some are like a recipe, giving step-by-step commands, and others are more declarative, where you just describe the final meal you want, and the tool figures out how to cook it. There's a tool for pretty much every need. So with all these options, you might be thinking, okay, how do I choose the right one? Well, it often comes down to one really key question about your company's strategy. And this is a really simple way to break it down. If your company is all in on a single cloud provider, let's say you only use AWS, then it usually makes sense to stick with their own native tools like CDK or CloudFormation. Why? Because you'll get support for all the newest, coolest services on day one. But if your organization works across multiple clouds, maybe you use a mix of AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud, a tool like Terraform is fantastic because it lets you use one single blueprint to manage everything, everywhere. So what does this all mean for you and your DevOps journey? We've really made a huge leap, right? We've gone from thinking about clicks to thinking about code, from doing things manually to creating a strategic blueprint, and that is a huge step forward. The most important thing to take away today is this. Understanding why you're automating is so much more important than memorizing the specific tools. Once you really get the concept that you're trading manual clicks for repeatable, reliable code, the rest will fall into place. Always remember our philosophy here: concept first, tools later. And next time, we're going to build directly on this foundation. We'll show you exactly how to log into that virtual machine we created, and we'll take our very first steps into the exciting world of hands-on automation. Thanks for watching. Now that you understand the why behind automation, are you ready to see the how? If you've missed any of our previous explainers, be sure to check them out in the playlist. We'll see you next time.